Welcome to this segment of the AI and Data Exchange, and thanks for joining us. My guest today is Ryan Macaleer, the Vice President of Data and AI Technology for the U.S. federal market at IBM. Ryan, thanks so much for taking the time to join me.
Well, Jason, thank you. Thank you for having me. Really excited to be here with you today.
We have a lot to talk about. AI is the buzzword of the week, the month, the year. We know back in October, President Biden signed the AI executive order. OMB released a draft memo right around that same time. Comments were due in early December. And over the last few months, we know agencies have made a lot of progress. Chief AI officers, inventory of AI use cases. But I think most excitingly is the excitement around AI tools and capabilities and really can drive change. So let's start there at the executive order. What's your take on it? What are some of the things that are really exciting?
Well, I appreciate the question. Yeah, and I mean, look, we're all excited about this. I mean, through my 20 years experience in supporting our federal clients, I don't think I've seen something like this before. But IBM's perspective is really around, this is a really critical first step, and we see it as such, right? A first step towards providing the guardrails, the guidelines, really governing this emerging AI space. But we also really think that the solution here in terms of being able to continue to support and provide safe and secure AI really resides in open innovation, open competition, really with as much of a diversified point of view as possible, because that's really what we've always relied on as a country, as a society, and certainly as a federal marketplace to bring these innovative solutions to bear. And IBM's been in that space. I mean, we've been at the forefront of bringing cutting edge technology to the federal market for 100 years or so, right? So we've got some credibility in the space, and more here recently in the AI space with solutions in places like the VA, where we're leveraging AI to reduce the cycle times associated with processing veterans' claims, or the IRS, right, for just citizen tax returns and being able to expedite those returns, leveraging that same power. Or even more niche use cases. For example, at the Navy, we're involved in looking at their food and beverage supply forecasting and being able to leverage AI to be able to provide that food on board these Navy vessels. So across the board, we've had that experience, and we think that going forward, again, that open, innovative, and open competition is really sort of the key to moving us forward here.
Appreciate the examples. A lot of folks, when they talk about AI, is it predictive analytics? Is it robotics process automation, where you kind of clump it all together? When you look at kind of these federal customers, do you kind of get a sense of how they're starting to use these tools and what's driving that change? What is it? We have too much data, we just need help. What are some of those factors that are kind of playing into this?
Well, I think there's a number of factors, and what we see is really more challenges maybe to, or barriers to these agencies really taking on AI head on. To your point, whether it's machine learning, predictive analytics, or maybe even more on the forefront now around this generative AI topic, right? And so there's a number of challenges we see from our federal customers and commercial clients alike, and we really sort of bucket them into two categories. I would say the first is sort of this concern over AI, almost fear, right? Think about security, thinking about the privacy of the data, and even cost. We do a survey every year and survey top executives across both government and commercial. 84% of the executives that we surveyed cited at least one of those three things as being, a challenge: security, privacy, or cost. The other vector is really, even when enterprises decide to go down the AI path, there's this, ability to execute challenge. The first thing that those same executives cited is having a lack of an enterprise perspective on AI, an enterprise standard. And that presents a real challenge just to get started. More on the personal side, what I've seen is, even this kind of inability to get things into production when you started with a traditional AI model and went to try to put that into production, very, very niche-y, very, very siloed, and could be expensive. And then last is really the idea of, okay, it's nice to have a lot of this data science going on in the enterprise, but where do you really get the most return? What are those use cases that you can leverage to start with, get some real ROI, and then continue on that enterprise journey?
Couple things just to back up on. Let's start with the challenges. You talked about security, privacy, cost. Interesting that so many people kind of are putting that out there. I don't think that's news. I think what that is just the reality until they kind of understand it, is that's the education side that has to happen. Hey, you can secure this. Hey, you can control costs. Is that what you're seeing when you talk to federal clients, is helping them explain that you have some control over these factors?
Absolutely, and I think more now so than ever, right? Again, when I think early data science and machine learning and these models came along, every use case had to have its own data source, its own AI model, had to be very siloed in that sense. Took a lot of resource, took a lot of human power, and throughout that process can get pretty time consuming and fairly expensive, right? There's no repeatability. If you're solving one use case, you solve that one use case. In today's environment, with this generative AI solution stack that we've now seen, the idea is you're training this model sort of once, right? This idea of a large language model is at its core able to solve more than one use case. So while you need lots of data, you need a consistent platform, you can solve that and then repeat the use cases across the enterprise. And that sort of gets back to our enterprise adoption or enterprise standards that we're out promoting.
You brought up generative AI. We got to talk a little bit about it, even though I think there's a little bit of concern, a little bit of caution happening, a lot of optimism. A lot of your clients are starting to ask questions about generative AI, I imagine. A lot of them want to know, okay, how could I use it? What are some of those challenges, barriers, obstacles? What are some of the benefits?
Yeah. Well, we talked about some of the challenges already. Our point of view in this space really amounts to having an enterprise platform for AI. So all flavors of AI, whether it's sort of our traditional machine learning and AI models, or this new generative AI landscape, having a consistent platform that allows for all of those flavors of AI and technology. So our answer in this space is our Watson X platform. Hopefully, many of the viewers of this will have heard of Watson X. IBM's actually been out advertising on TV some of these solutions for the first time in a while, which we're really excited about. But Watson X is that enterprise platform for AI. It really comes in sort of three flavors: dedicated to the data, the development environment, and then governance. So all three are of critical importance, right? WatsonX.data is this enterprise standard for, think about it as a purpose-built data lakehouse for building generative AI and traditional AI models. The WatsonX.ai solution is that workbench. It's that environment to be able to ingest that data, to be able to build your models, both with the data that you get out of the box with the solution, but then to also be able to customize with your own data in-house, your enterprise data. This isn't data that's leaving the enterprise. This isn't data that's going to train some third-party model or commercialize another product, right? So from a security back to our data privacy concerns, those are addressed. And unlike some of the other solutions in the market that you can go onto the web today and start to play with, this becomes yours. And that's really, really powerful and critical to this sort of strategy. And then the last is governance, right? WatsonX.governance is the solution that allows for clients to be able to inspect the AI models, to be able to govern those models so that you can put guardrails, you can audit them, you can see how those decisions are being made, and you can be able to set alerts so that if that model should drift, if you start to see bias, you can be alerted and be able to take that corrective action. So that's really sort of the power of how we go to market and how we deliver on this promise of enterprise a strategy there.
A lot of agencies are starting to kind of dip their toe in. If you call, crawl, walk, run, they're still very much in the crawl stage. What's the advice you have for them, based on the experience you have, experience that IBM has brought to the table? What would you tell agencies who say, hey, we want to start using AI, we're a little bit here, a little bit there, how to go forward?
Yeah, well, I love that question because I think everybody's kind of in that same boat right now. And what we tout is, look, I mean, again, back to the executive order, I think you're seeing enterprises stand up chief AI officer, right? I think that's a great first step. I think coming together and thinking through the enterprise strategy is really of critical importance. But to get that immediate return, there's so many ways that you can actually step in and start to see real return in a really short amount of time. And so what we're out promoting and suggesting is a couple of packaged use cases. So while we're really excited by the Watson X platform, we've got some packaged use cases pertaining to HR. It's a really low-hanging fruit use case for generative AI to be able to help HR departments to do more with less. We've actually implemented something like that in-house at IBM and seen incredible return there. So HR is a fantastic use case. Another use case is citizens self-service. So think about inquiries as a taxpayer to the IRS or an SSA beneficiary making inquiries to the SSA. How can you service that population, leveraging this generative AI power, and be able to self-service so you can, again, support more citizens with fewer people? And then lastly is application modernization. So, we have solutions now that can help really further the cause around application modernization, thinking along the lines of like even legacy applications that might be running on Z from a COBOL perspective, and using this generative AI technology to sort of automatically convert, translate, and populate that code into a more modern Java code base. So HR, citizen self-service, and application modernization are three ways anybody can get started today, out of the box, see a really quick return, and start to experience the value that AI has to offer.
All right, Ryan, there's plenty more to talk about. Unfortunately, we are out of time for this segment of the AI and Data Exchange. So let me thank my guest. Ryan Macaleer is the Vice President of Data and AI Technology for the U.S. federal market at IBM. Ryan, I enjoyed our conversation. Thank you very much.
Jason, thank you so much.
I'm Jason Miller, and you're watching Federal News Network. Now let me send you back to the studio for more from the AI and Data Exchange.